We talk with space journalist Jason Major about the new space race and various exploration missions currently underway. That plus Jill Tarter, a new show on National Geographic, and the latest UFO and space news right now on Spacing Out.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Jason McClellan.
And I'm Maureen Ellsbury. We want to give a quick thank you to all of you for either listening or watching the show.
Absolutely. And we want to remind you that Spacing Out is available in two formats for your convenience. The web series that you can find on YouTube and other online video platforms, and as an audio podcast available on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, and of course, you can access both the video web series and the audio podcast at openminds.tv/spacingout.
We'll be talking with space blogger Jason Major later in the show. Jason is probably the top space writer out there right now. He writes for Discovery and a bunch of other formats.
He writes for a lot of different news sources, and in my opinion, he's one of the top space writers. I get a lot of my space news from Jason. He's really got his thumb on this topic of the new space race that's taking place, commercial space. So it's fantastic to hear his take on a lot of what's going on right now in space exploration and the search for extraterrestrial life.
Right, so we'll talk to him later, but first let's hit up some UFO news. A new UFO show is coming to television. On Wednesday, May 23rd, the National Geographic Channel, or Nat Geo, announced a show called Chasing UFOs.
The new 8-part series follows a team of investigators as they search for the truth behind unexplained UFO sightings. Nat Geo's website says, can this team use science and technology to explain mysterious sightings, or will the evidence truly be out of this world? These burning questions motivate the Chasing UFOs investigative team to travel far and probe deep into a number of strange encounters previously left unanswered.
The show's investigation team includes James Fox, Ben McGee, and Aaron Ryder from Destination Truth. How does this show differ from other UFO-related programs on TV? Nat Geo explains, with its combination of adventure, travel, and hard-hitting science, this series offers a radical new spin on this unexplained phenomenon.
Chasing UFOs premieres Friday, June 29th at 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific Time. I'm really excited for this show. We had some involvement with this show, but we're also good friends with the investigative team on here.
Correct, and I'm sure we'll have definitely Ben McGee on soon, and James Fox, and maybe Aaron Ryder even coming up soon. And we are getting advanced copies of the show, so we will give our episode review shortly, I guess. Within the next couple of weeks.
Right.
Residents in Blue Springs, Missouri have seen multiple UFOs in the night sky for the past 2 weeks. The objects are described as bright hovering orbs that change color. A witness even claims to have seen one of these orbs rapidly drop in altitude. Other witnesses have described zigzagging behavior and have observed these objects disappearing and reappearing. Some sources indicate the lights have been seen in nearby Independence, Missouri as well.
According to KCTV5, Missouri MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, is investigating these sightings. Assistant State Director Margie Kay interviewed witnesses, then set up telescopes to observe the lights for herself. Her initial assumption upon viewing the first light was that it was the bright star Vega, the brightest star in the constellation Lyra. But as other similar lights appeared in the sky, Kay was stumped. After reassessing her opinion, she told KCTV5, I don't think it's a planet at this point. I don't know what it is. It's unidentified.
KCTV5 reportedly contacted local police, but police have received no calls about the mysterious lights. KCTV5 also contacted the FAA, but was redirected to NORAD, where a spokesperson confirmed that a similar sighting had been reported, but the objects had not been identified, and they also didn't really say where the object was seen.
Right, and the news crew, the KCTV5, went out and saw this thing for themselves. They recorded it with their camera. They showed the whole neighborhood was basically out with their binoculars and everything. Multiple lights in the sky, really weird.
And we have that video on our website.
We do.
So
you can see more.
You can check out openminds.tv.
Right. Yeah. Multiple witnesses reportedly witnessed UFOs over Muskegon Lake in Michigan on the evening of Saturday, May 26th. According to the Muskegon Chronicle, witness Michael White photographed 2 lights over the lake at approximately 9:45 p.m. The 2 orange UFOs were seen hovering in the sky and were completely silent. White describes that he watched the objects moving, but then they stopped and hovered, then shot away at extremely fast rates of speed.
Another individual reportedly witnessed the lights in the sky, but only saw them hovering in the sky and slowly disappearing from sight. The Muskegon Chronicle contacted local police and the United States Coast Guard. Neither the police nor the Coast Guard received any reports about these lights in the sky. But a Coast Guard petty officer, Ronnie Mason, explained to the Chronicle that UFOs around water are sometimes caused by light reflecting off of boats' windshields during the sunset or lights on boats when it gets dark. However, based on witness testimony related to the latest sighting, these UFOs have Mason stumped.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, this is a case with so many UFO sightings. Witness testimony counts for a lot, you know,
right.
and whether you believe them or not, that's up to you. But with the witness testimony stating that he saw this thing just zoom off
right.
after hovering for a while, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and I don't think necessarily the boat light reflection is really accurate in this case. So we'll see.
Well, and as he stated, with the sun setting reflecting off boats' windshields, this is at 9:45 at night.
Right.
So the sun is probably already set at that point.
There goes that excuse.
For all the latest in UFO news, you can check out openminds.tv.
In space news this week, the SpaceX Dragon capsule successfully docked with the International Space Station on Friday, May 25th, making it the first private spacecraft to dock with the ISS.
Dragon delivered food and other supplies to the ISS as part of a test to demonstrate the craft's ability to serve as a cargo freighter to the ISS. According to Space.com, SpaceX has a $1.6 billion contract with NASA to fly 12 supply delivery missions to the complex once Dragon has completed testing.
Separation from the ISS is scheduled for Thursday, May 31st, so hopefully by the time you watch this episode, they will have successfully separated and are on their return to Earth.
Again, SpaceX is making huge headlines and making tremendous progress in this commercial space race and setting records. You know, their first capsule to attach to the ISS.
Well, I mean, that's huge because that's going to change the entire format of the private space industry.
It really is, and SpaceX has so many other things beyond the Dragon that they're working on.
Right.
They're working on their Falcon Heavy rockets, this biggest rocket ever to blast stuff into space, and I think they just signed a contract with a satellite company to serve as the launch craft to send their satellites into space. So more and more people, after seeing what SpaceX is demonstrating right now with NASA and the ISS, it's going to open a lot of doors for them and other companies.
I think we're going to see quite a few exciting things coming up here in the next couple of months, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
SETI astronomer Jill Tarter has a problem with how extraterrestrials are portrayed by Hollywood on the big screen.
In a press release issued to promote the SETI Institute's upcoming SETICon 2 conference, Tarter explains her opinion that if aliens came to Earth, that would mean they would have technological capabilities sophisticated enough not to need slaves, food, or other planets. She then offered her theory that if aliens were to come here, it would simply be to explore. So basically, as Jason Major of Universe Today summarizes, alien life probably isn't interested in having us for dinner, enslaving us, or laying eggs in our bellies.
In voicing her disagreement with Hollywood's portrayal of extraterrestrials, Tarter also takes issue with theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, saying, "While Sir Stephen Hawking warned that alien life might try to conquer or colonize Earth, I respectfully disagree." Although she disagrees with Hollywood's version of extraterrestrials, Tarter suggests that we should look into movies like Men in Black 3, Prometheus, and Battleship as great entertainment and metaphors for our own fears, but we should not consider them harbingers of alien visitation.
I don't know about great entertainment. They're
I
Good entertainment, maybe.
I'm not going to go see Battleship. I'm sorry.
I'm not either. As we mentioned last week, SETI Institute officials announced on Tuesday, May 22nd, that Tarter, the director of the Center for SETI Research, is stepping down from her position to devote her full time to fundraising for the Institute.
A tool to aid in the search for extraterrestrial life is one step closer to being constructed. The Square Kilometer Array, also known as the SKA Array, will be the world's largest radio telescope. Member countries of the SKA organization decided on May 25th that this array of thousands of radio telescopes will be constructed at two sites, one in South Africa and one in Western Australia.
Not only will SKA create the largest radio telescope, but it will also be the most sensitive. This tool will be used to explore the universe, looking into how galaxies were formed, and will scan for signs of extraterrestrial life.
And construction on SKA is scheduled to begin in 2016, so we got a couple of years.
It'll take a while. But, you know, it's fantastic to see this thing start coming together. It's been in the works for a while. This thing is massive. And I saw a statistic that said something like, it's on the SKA's website, saying that the data this thing pulls in, it's going to pull in enough raw data to fit on 15 million 64 gig iPods every single day. And that just illustrates how, you know, other organizations that have radio telescopes, like the SETI Institute, really rely heavily on the public to help them go through their data.
I was going to say, how the heck are they going to go through all that? But I mean, I'm guessing that will be the thing, is they're going to request volunteers from the general public to.
That would be a great move. I know SETI is still constantly looking for that, and they recently launched their website, SETILive.org, where people can go and participate in that, looking through the data and basically actively being involved in the search for extraterrestrial life. But I mean, just gauging based on that, there's so much data. And I think people assume that computers are analyzing all this, but it's stuff that has to be gone through by humans. Because there's so much.
Right. You can't really see all the abnormalities really by a computer. They're not really trained to spot that kind of stuff, kind of like we talked to Lee Spiegel about last week. But
well, 2016, they'll start building it. It'll take a while to build, but it'll be interesting once that thing comes online to see what kind of data it pulls in.
Yeah, hopefully something cool. Now let's talk with space blogger Jason Major.
Well, we are thrilled to be joined today by space blogger Jason Major. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
All right. Well, Jason, you are, as I mentioned, a space blogger. You have your own website, lightsinthedark.com, and you write for, and let me know if I leave any out, you write for Universe Today, Discovery News, and National Geographic News. Did I forget any?
That's correct. Those are about all I can fit in at the moment.
Yeah. I bet. You are a busy guy, and I follow your work a lot. You are Mr. Space. You cover this every single day, and I don't have any idea how you manage to find the time to write as much as you do right now.
I don't either, Jay.
Well, you're doing a bang-up job. I think it's great. And for our listeners and viewers, you should follow Jason on Twitter at JPMajor. He posts all day long, and it's always fun to follow and see what he's posting. And Jason, I know, and I'm jealous, and this shows my laziness, but I know you recently watched the SpaceX launch that took place on Tuesday, and that took place at what? It's at like 3:44 in the morning Eastern time or something.
That was 3:44 in the morning Eastern time. I'm in Dallas, so that was a little bit better for me. It was 2:44 here, but still, it was early.
Yeah.
You know, staying up that late on a school night's a little tough sometimes.
Oh yeah. But you know, and I took the lazy route. I watched the video after the fact. But this is an incredible moment in space history, and I know you were extremely excited about it, as was I. And SpaceX is a company I'm really excited about personally. And I know there are a lot of mixed feelings with space right now, and space exploration, with NASA kind of taking a back seat in the launches and things like that. And we're shifting more into private companies taking astronauts into space, doing exploration missions. And so I'd love to hear your thought on this new era of space exploration and this new space race that's really taking place.
Well, I think that people are, and understandably, there's a paradigm shift happening right now. The launches are moving away from the government sector, but they're moving into the hands of people who are really dedicated to just doing rockets, just doing launches, and doing it on a budget that's basically being handed to them. I mean, NASA's not really stepping away. They're just handling they're really just handling the organization of it. They're saying, this is our budget. This is what we need, and if you can deliver this, great, because we're going to be concentrating on the science of it and the exploration of it, and and really all the innovation as far as what's going to happen once we get to space. So, I mean, and NASA has a lot of resources, but if you're looking at the big picture, they're really only getting a pretty small percent, or actually less than a percent of the federal budget. So with that little chunk that they get, they have to do everything. They have to do the science, they have to do the research and development, they have to do all the innovations, and then do all the launches on top of it. I understand they use a lot of contractors, but still, that's a lot to come out of one small chunk. So now what they're doing is they're saying, if we can save some money and have someone else take care of the launch details, we'll get out there, you take us there, and then we'll see where we go.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you bring that up, because there are so many people out there who don't really look into the topic of space exploration, and they look at some headlines, and many people are under the assumption that NASA is dead, that NASA's not doing anything more, NASA has no money, the shuttle program is done, so NASA is done, and that is absolutely not the case. NASA has so many active programs going on right now.
Right. I mean, there have been cuts. I think there's basically been cuts in every sector of every industry, really. But NASA is not going anywhere. I mean, they have to change their focus. That's really what's been going on. They've been changing their focus, and with the final shuttle launch, which I also had the honor of being present to, with that final shuttle launch, that was not the end of NASA. NASA did not stop when Atlantis's wheels stopped. They're going forward, just in a different way.
And something that we focus on a lot here is the search for extraterrestrial life. And there are a lot of NASA programs going on right now that are finding exciting things. I mean, the Kepler Space Telescope,
sure,
the data coming back from that is incredibly exciting. All of these planets being discovered, some potentially habitable. The Mars Curiosity rover, I'm so excited for that to arrive on Mars later this summer. I mean, it's this nuclear-powered science lab that, is going to be looking for signs of possible life on Mars.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably going to be, when it happens, one of the most exciting parts of the whole Mars exploration missions, because Curiosity, the Mars Science Laboratory, is landing in a really innovative, really novel way. I mean, it's going to, literally turn into kind of a Earth-based UFO. It's going to come down, the capsule is going to hover on rockets, it's going to open up, drop the lower MSL down on cables, put it down on the ground, and then shoot off to the side safely, and MSL will unfold and start exploring. So that's really going to be exciting.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that they just announced, the ESA just announced that they're going to launch something called JUICE to go to Jupiter. And I know that there's expectations that possibly Ganymede and those planets might have possible for life under their icy surfaces.
Sure.
And I'm curious, I know you wrote about JUICE, but what's the difference, because that's not landing until 2030, between JUICE and NASA's Juno that's going to land in 2016?
Both Juno and JUICE, they're going to be orbiters. There's not going to be any landing involved, but they're going to study different things. Juno will primarily be studying Jupiter's atmosphere and magnetosphere. Every time they get a chance to study Jupiter's magnetosphere, because it's giant and awesome, they're gonna take that chance. But Juno's going to look at Jupiter's atmosphere. It's going to peer through with UV and infrared sensitive cameras. It's going to really see what's happening beneath the clouds. JUICE will concentrate on the moons of Jupiter to see what's happening there, what's happening beneath Ganymede, what's happening on Callisto, and what's happening. Probably one of the most exciting points is what's happening on Europa, the moon that is most likely to contain some sort of a pretty substantial liquid ocean underneath.
Well, on the topic of moons, Mashable.com just posted a story about the Global Space Exploration Conference, and on May 22nd, both Russia and Japan laid out their plans for space exploration, and both are aiming at the moon, and they both want to put basically bases on the moon. And Vladimir Popkin, the head of the Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, said specifically, we're not talking about repeating what man achieved 40 years ago, we're talking about establishing permanent bases. And I don't know about you, but to me personally, I love the moon. I'm very fascinated by the moon. It's our closest neighbor, and we know so little about it. What are your thoughts on exploring our own moon and possibly colonizing the moon?
I think the moon is really the logical next step. Um, if we can have bases there, it's really one of the best places to have exposure to our immediate space environment in our solar system. So, and plus there's a lot of things we don't know about the moon. Does the moon have a little bit of some sort of an exosphere? I hate to say atmosphere because it makes you think something you can breathe, which you can't. But what's happening on the surface of the moon and just above the surface of the moon? And of course, if you wanted to launch from the moon, if at some point if you want to get really energetic, it's a lot easier to launch from there. And if you think about exploring as far as radio astronomy goes, if you have something on the far side of the moon, you're protected from all of the stuff that's coming off of Earth, all the radio waves and everything that Earth is putting out. Now you have really a pristine environment to study not only our solar system but the galaxy and the entire universe. So I think that's where we need to be if we're going to really, really look far out.
With the recent discovery of great pictures have been captured of the moon just in the past year alone, these incredible images, and there's very detailed pictures of proving lava tubes basically on the moon, these great defined tubes indicating underground areas on the moon. Do you think that there's a possibility that there could be life living beneath the surface of the moon?
I would if I had to put money on it, I wouldn't put money on life being on the moon or beneath the surface of the moon. But I think there will be life in those lava tubes because that seems to be really a logical place to put bases.
Absolutely.
It's as long as they're stable geologically, because the moon does have some moonquakes and things like that. Really, that's the best protection, natural protection you're going to get from cosmic radiation and from solar radiation is inside those lava tubes.
With everything you read, where do you think is the best place in the universe as we know it for life to exist?
I think there's a lot of places that we're interested in, and a lot of places where we need to look. Obviously, Curiosity is going to look on Mars when it goes there in August. Will it find life? I don't think so, but you know what? It may find evidence of past life, or at least evidence of the environment being favorable for it. Now, elsewhere on Mars, I think those caves and those tubes and subsurface places are really where, if anything's going to be found, it's going to be there. Very similar to the dry valleys in Antarctica. They're extreme environments, and things are living there. There's microbes, there's algae, there's stuff underneath the ground there. And I think we also have to look at the possibility of, habitable environments on the moons in our own solar system. Titan, Enceladus, Europa, obviously. And who knows, maybe Ganymede, and who knows what else may be found as things are being looked at.
Jason, let me take a huge step back first, and I should have done this at the beginning, but you yourself are not a scientist.
Nope.
Yet you are immersed in space. How did you get interested in space?
I've always loved space. I would have gone into a science-based field when I was younger if I could add two numbers together and come up with the same answer twice. Unfortunately, I can't, and I had a drawing ability, so I went into art and I got my BFA in painting and printmaking, and then the most financially feasible step after that was to get into graphic design, so that's what I ended up doing.
And that's pretty much what led you into start doing all these color composite images you do of space photos, which are incredible.
Right. Well, once I learned how to do that, once I learned that the data is out there, and really one of the most amazing things about NASA and about all of the programs that they work on is they take their data and they put it out there for amateurs and for citizen scientists to look at and to manipulate. You can basically do what you want with it, but you can also take it and make some really, really beautiful images. The color data is out there. I know Cassini freely puts a lot of the raw images that come directly from the spacecraft, literally within an hour is out on the internet. So I can take that data and I can make some really, really pretty images out of it. And I gotta say thanks to Emily Lakdawala at the Planetary Society for saying exactly how that's done.
And is she the one who was in the Google Plus hangout with you that when you impressively on the fly created a really quick composite of one of the Cassini images. That was awesome.
Yeah, she pointed that. I didn't even know those images were downlinked yet. And then when she said that, I ran over there and put one together. As she was describing the images, I put together a composite of it. But yeah, that was a hobby of mine, and I kind of took it and ran, and now I'm doing a lot more writing based on it. So, and by following, also another thing that the NASA science missions are really good at, and also a lot of the missions, the ESA missions and ESO, they're really good at sharing what they're working on. So as soon as something's found out, they put together a press release, and there it is. So if you really want to follow what's happening in the space science community, it's not that hard. It really isn't. I mean, the information is there for people to really kind of like enjoy and then realize what's happening with science all around the world.
Well, to bring up Google Plus Hangouts again, I caught your hangout there with Conan O'Brien. That was pretty cool how you snagged that one. That was awesome. And you asked him about space. Uh-huh. Thought his response was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, Conan was awesome. In fact, their entire team was awesome, and he managed to take the six of us and turn it into basically a big comedy show. I mean, there wasn't anything we could say to him that he couldn't turn into something funny. So, and which is exactly the purpose of his first hangout. So, yeah, I believe he said something along the lines of, his interest in space exploration goes insofar as finding new viewers for his late night show.
Smart man.
But yeah, I mean. I've always enjoyed Conan's show. Depending on when I was on the East Coast, it was the perfect thing to watch. Come 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. So now he's on a different time slot. I try to catch him as much as I can, but not as often as I'd like.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, Jason, we got to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we could definitely talk with you about this all day long because this has been a blast. But thanks again for talking with us today. And for everybody, remember, you can check out Jason's website, lightsinthedark.com. Check him out on Twitter at JPMajor. Jason, thank you so much, and we will have you on again very soon.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
On this show, we like to highlight upcoming events we think you'll be interested in, like these. SpaceFest 4 features a prestigious list of astronauts and speakers discussing astronomy, manned exploration, robotic exploration, commercial space, and space history. The event runs May 30th through June 3rd at the Star Pass Resort in Tucson, Arizona. More information can be found at spacefest.info. The 2012 Out of This World San Diego Fair takes place June 8th through July 4th at the Del Mar Fairgrounds in Del Mar, California. The event explores outer space, the wonders of the universe, and our efforts to explore it, as well as the fun and imaginative world of science fiction and visitors from other planets. Find out more at sdfair.com. June 22nd through the 24th, the SETI Institute presents SETICon 2. The event features an impressive lineup of speakers, including diverse and distinguished scientists, astronomers, astronauts, artists, authors, and actors who have made an impact in the world of real and imagined science. Find out more at SETICon.com. More events like these can be found at openminds.tv/events.
That's all for this episode of Spacing Out. Remember to check out openminds.tv for all the latest news.
And remember to send us your submissions. We want you to be part of the show. Email us at contact@openminds.tv.
Thanks so much for watching. Join us again next week. We'll be talking with MUFON's photo and video analyst Mark D'Antonio about UFO footage as well as life in space. I'm Jason McClellan.
And I'm Maureen Ellsbury.
We will see you in the future.